Marwan, you write in your latest research note that there are going to be painful but necessary reforms. At what point do we raise the red flag and investors can agree that the reforms are happening at too fast a pace? Because history tells us it's happened several times before. This is a country that's not necessarily very good at handling that kind of change.
Well, Yusuf, like for us, is it a move in the right direction or not? That's our main question. I would say we were concerned before about the economic probably reforms are going so fast, and we heard some kind of a reassuring messages recently. And that's what matters for us at this stage. But for every social reform that is taking place today, what really matters is it a move into the right direction. Some people may say it's really moving so fast. But, you know, others were saying a year ago that things are not moving so fast. So it's always going to have both sides of the story, as we say. But for us, is it a move in the right direction or not? That's a question.
So in terms of positioning, what kind of sectors are you getting exposure to?
Well, like currently we're almost 30% allocated within our MENA strategy to Saudi Arabia. And we like to think more of a company rather than a sector, because within the same sector you can see some, say, companies doing really good and other companies are doing really bad. What the question is, reforms are coming, changes is happening today, and as a faster pace as many investors are seeing. But the companies and the reaction to this or to these reforms is what dictates our investment decisions. We can see many companies adapting. The tune has changed drastically over the past 3 years. We've been meeting with companies on a kind of a continuous basis since 2014, since the oil price collapse, and we can sense that certain managements realize the change and others are still in denial. So for us is you know, sectors or companies that will manage to adapt is what really matters, rather than what or which sector.
What I'm trying to understand is where the bullishness on the Saudi story is coming from. If I could just flesh out your point, because I speak to a lot of the CEOs as well, and they tell me in many cases that it's not all glory, that they are facing tough times, that this is unprecedented, not just in terms of the political changes, but also in terms of the business environment. GDP growth, it's not there, it's not happening, jobs are not kicking in, non-oil GDP is not growing. Where is the optimism coming from? When do we see the inflection point and the fruits of the pains of reforms?
Well, Yusuf, it's not about optimism. It's about certain sectors will not benefit as much, like we've seen the pain in the cement sector and the building materials, and these sectors will be affected the most. Probably they will come at a later stage in the cycle as the economy starts to expand at a kind of a faster pace in the future, probably in 2018, 2019. Currently, consumer discretionary as well is facing a lot of changes. We've seen a huge drive by the government to go for Saudization, and that will leave a lot of people out of the country as well. So probably these sectors will be affected the most. On the other hand, we see a lot of positive reforms taking place in the insurance sector. But again, like it's a big sector, and when we talk about insurance, or let's say we talk about banks, you know, bank to bank will be different. Like, okay, the behavior, the reaction, and we've seen that in the results. Like you've seen this year's, like 2017, so far has been very, I would say, like there's no straight or kind of a clear path for corporate earnings. We've seen within the same sector, again, some companies posting very strong results. Like you look at the telecom sector, where one company is suffering, the other is now moving into the right direction, we would say, but maybe at not the speed that we'd like it to see it. But again, probably banks, if I would name, like given the low growth environment and their capital bases are very solid, so they manage to increase dividends. These sectors will be kind of let's say more on the bullish side going forward.